going to do a little bit of what some of the cam timing events are in basic engine operation. So what I have here is the piston is all the way up at the top. It's on compression stroke because if I look at my two lifters right here, I put them in there for ease. They're both even, which means there's no valve open. Also have what you probably heard of before, your timing chain is set dot to dot. So I have my line and my dot I lined up. So that's roughly top dead center. However, you get a little bit of dwell time on this piston. So it'll come up and kind of stop essentially and pause for a second and come back down. And that halfway point between those two is your true top dead center. The last engine I did, I think it was like 1 or 2 degrees off. The dot to dot wasn't exact. So if I would have just lined everything up dot to dot, I would have been off, right? And whenever I did my timing, it would have been off a couple of degrees when I initially started the engine. So I'm going to rotate this down. Come over here, get my tool. I had to shut the garage doors because I got a bunch of fat diesel trucks that want to come by and blare me out. So anyways, an engine comes around 2 rotations. That's why they call it a 4-stroke, because right now I'm on compression stroke. It has compressed all the gas. It's going to ignite. It's going to come down. That's the power stroke. And then whenever it comes back up, it's the exhaust stroke pushing everything out. Then whenever it comes back down again, it's the intake stroke sucking everything in. So I'm going to bring it down. So we're coming down on power stroke right now. All right, see how I just come back up a little bit? Now I'm on exhaust stroke, and what it's trying to do is push us up and out the exhaust port, right? Because I've already sucked down the intake, had the big bang explosion, and now I'm trying to push the stuff out. So what I'm going to show is how to find true top dead center. So this might be exactly right. It could be 2-4 degrees off. So what I have is my dial indicator set up. I have a little bit of preload on there. Looks like about 100, about 100 thousandths preload on it. And then I've zeroed it out and have it mounted up here. Now, since this is a 302, what was nice is the engine mount over here, the big steel plates that come with it, that makes a perfect deck for putting this dial indicator on so it's stable. So what I'm going to do now is I have my little marker here tied in there. Doesn't have to be anything fancy, it just has to work. So I'm looking at it and it's dialed in pretty close. I'm getting more squared up at it. This is one of the things where you hit it and it goes too far one way and too far the other. Then you open one eye and then close one eye and it changes. Okay, so I'm squared up on it. I know where it's at. So what I'm going to do next is I'm going to run the piston down a little bit, and then when I bring it back up, I'm going to note my, see I'm at 0 here. I want to be at 50 thousandths before what I noted as top dead center. So then I'll spin it back around and do the exact same thing. And I'll mark these 2 spots on my, my timing wheel here. Okay, so if we look here, on this one, my A is on the intake side. That's the first measurement I did. My B was my second measurement with the piston coming back up. Right, so that's the 2 signs of top dead center. What I had was I was 15 degrees on the degree wheel on one side and 12 on the other. If my dot to dot 0 mark was absolutely accurate, those would be the same number because I'm taking the difference between them. So I'm actually 3 degrees on this side of it. At this time would be when I take the harmonic damper, timing pointer, and all that. Remark this, bring it up to that 3 degrees over here, right? Because that's my 0 mark. 1, 2, 3 marks. And that's where I would set all my timing up, set the piston up at that, mock up my damper and timing pointer, and remark my damper. Now, this is not very accurate. This is just for reference only. This old engine, every time so this is for reference only. because this engine, it's real hard to turn over and everything, and you want something that turns smooth, because if you can watch right here, and I'll turn it back this direction. That was the minimum amount I could move it, and you saw how much I moved, how many degrees it moved, right? So that's one of the things, this is something you want to do on the engine stand when you're building it, ideally, to get the most accurate results, and make sure your dial indicator and everything is good and stable, because you don't want to get different readings each time. So now that I know where true top dead center is, I can begin the cam timing events. If you enjoyed this content, make sure to hit like, subscribe, and don't be afraid to comment. See you next time on Broken Tool Garage. So I'm actually going to go backwards on this to show you this is how you loosen the nut. Really, dude? I can still hear that motorcycle stereo. I guess that'll be on a blooper.